The Kingsleys are on their way up. We're going to sign some papers.
Ron?
Yeah.
I was thinking.
What?
Well, Mrs. Kingsley, the whole impetus behind her setting up this dog food company is her dedication to animals. So, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but I was wondering if maybe she'd be interested, along with the dog food company, of setting up a nonprofit corporation.
What would that do?
Well, it would appeal to her social consciousness, and it would impact the dog food company, broaden its appeal, give it more of a presence on social media.
Well, yeah, I think she'd like that.
We could set it up as a donor-advised fund, or they could start maybe their own private foundation.
Oh, like Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, no, not exactly. So Zuckerberg, he created an LLC. So the Kingsleys don't have that strong of a profit motive from what I sense of them. I mean, we could do that, but they could just maybe get a nice tax deduction with a donor-advised fund. The impact on the administrative and the staffing fees are really minimal. The Attorney General's office only requires auditing of financial statements, and I could definitely do that.
You know, you have enough on your plate.
Well, okay, then I know somebody at STP Enterprises. Pam Simon, she knows everybody. She can totally handle it.
All right, a nonprofit, I like it. Yeah, I think they'll like it, and more billables for us.
Hey,
oh,
Ron,
hey!
are you here?
Hi.
Come on in. How are you, man? Okay, hi. You remember Mitch?
Yeah.
Sure.
And Avery?
Hi.
Sure.
All right, my guys have been working hard on this for you. If you really want to go through with it, we're going to go ahead and make some papers.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, let's
Well, wait. Can I ask you something?
What?
Have you actually made any of these?
Oh, yes. I have tried several recipes, and after some trial and error, I think I have come up with a very good tasting product.
Yeah, well, who's been doing your taste testing? Tom?
Are you going to take me seriously
I'm
about
sorry,
this or
I'm
not?
just asking.
Okay, well, in our neighborhood, there's this little pet boutique, and I have been handing out free samples to people that have dogs, and the response has been very positive. And my daughter, Robin, she's a graphic designer. She has been working on logos and product packaging, and the owner of the store says, as soon as I have some product, she's putting it on the shelf. There is a market for this.
Okay, if you guys want to go ahead with this, we're going to get your John Hancock on it and make it official.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, Avery, if you would.
That's a lot of paper.
Oh, that's just the beginning. We're just dealing with the startup now. For now, you two are going to be the co-owners. But if this thing takes off, you're going to be up to your eyeballs in contracts. You're going to have to hire employees.
Employees? Am I going to have to deal with unions?
Well,
can I hire independent contractors?
Not if you don't want the IRS and the Department of Labor all over you.
I don't want that.
All right. Well, look, this is going to take care of everything. We're going to set you up with a limited liability operating agreement. This will protect your personal assets. But if this thing takes off, you're going to be dealing with distributors, manufacturers.
Manufacturer? She's the manufacturer.
No, I'm not running a meth lab in the basement. I am manufacturing a line of products. I can't do it in the house anyway. There's insurance issues if you have a business in the house.
Yeah, she's right about that.
Yeah. I've been looking at properties.
What?
Well, see, I have this friend who manufactures, and she's created this line of women's exercise clothes, and she manufactures them in Taiwan. So I want to keep it local. That's why I've been looking at properties.
Well, you can do that.
Yeah, well, I have a line on a couple of different buildings, and I thought we could have a designated office space and a manufacturing area, and then an area for Robin to do her graphic design, and a showroom.
I don't want to buy any more real estate.
Well, we've been talking about selling the place at Union Pier, right? So if we do a Section 1031 rollover, then you have 45 days to have a replacement property, and then you're not out of pocket.
When were you going to tell me this?
I'm telling you now.
Tom, when am I going to see you?
You're seeing me now.
Oh, come on, it's It's going to be great. I'm so excited.
Okay.
All right. Do your John Hancock. We'll get it going.
Ron, if I may.
Yeah.
I was thinking the Kingsleys might be interested in setting up a nonprofit corporation.
Really?
In addition to the dog food company, setting up a nonprofit that would add a social media presence.
What does that do? What? Huh? What does that mean?
Well, we were talking about this before you came in. I know you all want to take care of all the little doggies. You want to make the world a better place before all dogs go to heaven.
Ron.
All right. Look, here's the thing. Besides setting up the dog food company, how about setting up a nonprofit corporation?
What does that do? I don't.
Mitch?
Well, it raises the visibility of the profit-making venture with the good works of a nonprofit. You could do all kinds of things. You could set up animal shelters, educational initiatives. You could call it the Kingsley Initiative. You could have your very own private foundation.
Like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, I like the Kingsley Initiative. Can we use that?
Yeah, it's available.
Hey, listen, you're going to make $1 gazillion from the dog food company. You can use that money to fund the initiative.
So I have to fund this too.
No. You set it up as a 501c3 charitable organization.
So then I can make tax-deductible contributions. to
Absolutely.
it. I'm for that.
Or you can keep your $1 gazillion and take tax-deductible contributions. Then it becomes a, what do you call it? Avery, what is that?
Donor funded?
Donor funded, yeah. She knows all the tax lingo. So if you want to do that, we can set that up and move ahead.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah.
They should know that if they're setting up a profit-making venture in conjunction with a nonprofit, there are a number of compliance rules that need to be put into place.
Oh, is it legal?
Oh, yes, but you just need to have appropriate documentation. So, for instance, if the owners have executive, directorship, and management over the nonprofit, you're probably going to want to have an arm's length contract that's approved by the board.
What board?
Well, in order to start a nonprofit, each state has its own requirements of the minimum number of board members needed. I think in Illinois the number is 3.
You're going to create a board?
Well, wait, I serve on boards. With the people I know from boards, I could create a board.
And if you're going to be fundraising or hire a professional fundraiser, which is what I would recommend, well, there are a certain number of disclosures you'll want. So a nonprofit organization may not be operated or organized for the benefit of private interest, and so no part of a 501c3's net earnings may be inured to the benefit of a private shareholder or a private individual.
All right. Thank you. Let's not overload them with information. You know what? I'm going to set you up with RSMUS. They're like the 5th biggest CPA firm in the country. They'll take care of it.
Or Navigant. I know somebody.
Yeah. Whatever. We'll figure it out later.
Is there any downside?
Is there any downside?
I don't see any.
Honestly, if you're...
Okay, then let's get your John Hancock on this, and we'll proceed.
You want to do this?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, let's take care of this paperwork, and we can order in some lunch.
Okay.
Avery, would you check with Marge? I think she's got all the menus.
Ron.
I'm saying that's it.
Avery, Mitch, and Ron the boss are talking. But Avery has obviously been the one who's done all the work. She's the one who has structured, thought about, devised, named the Kingsley Initiative, and she's in control. They're listening to her. In fact, they're asking questions, they're paying attention. So she has what the question was at the last scene, how can she ever dig herself out of the hole that she's put herself into? And the answer is by showing her competence and her skill and her confidence. What happens the minute the Kingsleys walk into the room?
She didn't stand up.
That's correct. She did not stand up. And let's talk about that for a minute, because very often women believe that they're supposed to stay seated. When people come into a room, especially in a business setting, she should have stood up, extended her hand. Now, when I have this conversation with millennial women, sometimes I'm told, well, I was really offended because I was at this meeting and this guy comes in and he shakes hands with everybody and he doesn't shake my hand. And I say to her, did you extend your hand to him? And she says, no. And there's an old sort of manner that men don't shake hands with women unless the woman extends her hand first. So this woman starts to laugh as a group of other people who have been offended at meetings because they have not felt like they've been included, and then they pull back from the meeting, and what did they do? They did not stand up, and they did not extend their hand. In the meeting, when Mitch takes over and starts to co-opt and steal the very points that she made, there is an opportunity for her to get into the conversation, and instead, she just closes down. She knows that her ideas have been stolen, and she just contracts.
We've got another ethical problem here. We've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of sophisticated planning, and we've got clients that don't have a clue what they're doing. Don't have a clue what they're doing. And what obligations are there to inform them, to spend more time on the risks, on the downside? And now, unlike that first situation, Avery and Mitch are very well aware that Ron is pushing this project forward, asking for these clients, let's sign the documents, let's get going, when in fact they know there's lots of information out there that they don't have yet. They don't know everything that they're getting into. Nothing that this is the only meetings, we've seen the only 2 meetings. Nothing has been explained to them about the relationship between them, about control, about disagreements, about dissolution, about financial problems. So we've got 2 associates who should know that they're in over their heads, and they've got a senior partner who's pushing a deal that isn't ready to be pushed.
What Avery did is she's doing, I don't know if this is a good idea or maybe this might work. So she knows that she's going to be agentic, to use the ugly word that they use for people who have power, that she's going to be agentic, and she doesn't want to do it because she feels like that's not okay. She wants to be liked. So she takes her really good idea and she waters it down with all of this lead-in that deflects from the power of what she has to say. And she's not comfortable taking the time to try to explain it. She doesn't go through the 3 points that you need in order to do this. There's a way that she could have controlled it, even as an associate, but she wasn't comfortable and she didn't do it. She uses what's referred to as uptalk, which is something like, the room's on fire? Now, are you supposed to get up and get out of here? Or are you supposed to ask, is that a question? It's interesting. There's an enormous controversy over uptalk. And it's, the Valley Girls in the 1980s. And now it's very prominent. I mean, you could watch a Kardashian talking to a Kardashian, and you're going to have all of this stuff going on. And the women who use it very often say, I'm entitled to talk any way I want to. But I'll give you an example of a situation that we know. A young doctor told us that she was using uptalk. And they didn't know in surgery, when she asked for a scalpel, whether she was asking for an opinion about what scalpel does she need, or she was asking for a particular thing. And her patients didn't know what she was telling them when she told them to take this medicine twice a day. And so she learned very quickly, because it was clear to her that people were not understanding her. And it's our job to be sure that the other person understands us. But you have to be thinking always about who your audience is and how you could be perceived. Because I would not want to be the patient on that table when some nurse thinks that my surgery decision is the wrong tool and gives me something else because of the way I asked for it.
Let's think about language just a little bit more. Women in particular have a problem that men don't have. We live in a world in which men's voices are viewed as authoritative, as the standard for assertion of control and power, and women's voices are considered to be weak or tentative or not very strong. So what are you going to do? You're not going to change your voice. You're not going to be Margaret Thatcher and go to a voice coach. But there are a couple of simple things to remember. One is women have a much greater range in their voice than men do. Try, in business context, to stay out of those high ranges. The lower your voice, not to talk with vocal fry, but to be calmer, lower register is likely to be more effective. The thing that women get accused of is being too emotional. They're probably not too emotional, but they're probably using their voice to go up and down in ways that a man wouldn't. And that up and down range, that use of the full voice,